there's going to be a serious flooding of immigrants into Europe, into Canada, into Australia, into the US. Now, a bit too much to the point said the citizens themselves will push the government and say, no, we can't accept these people anymore. Because so the government will be forced. They make here. Me say, don't forget I am giving you tomorrow's news today. Okay? I do make us say me now for be to kwai. To me who I do them yam sheme. Because see, mama ga be nchiro. I now me do US no. Specifically I was doing something about the US and I saw say before the election no. A man for because they know very well that Trump winning on Makwai. So people, it will overwhelm the security. It is going to overwhelm the border security for instance. No more kono criminals kobi, drug addicts kobi like that. The bedu baby no kronuma for no ebeha almost no yam penny. So as we go, who said there will be serious of uprising within all countries, especially the Western world.
On the other side of the channel, well, they've generally been run by the Kurds. But now it's emerged that the Afghans are starting to rival the Kurds in arranging the small boat crossings. So we now have an Afghan versus Kurd turf war taking place on the other side of the channel. Let's speak to border control expert, former UKIP leader, regular here on GB News, Henry Bolton. Henry, thank you very, very much. So there's currently an Afghan versus Kurdish turf war. If the Turks get involved, it'll be a Turk war as well, wouldn't it? Turf war on the other side of the channel.
Indeed, Patrick, on that, I mean, these are groups that have got a history, a persistent, consistent history of using extreme violence to achieve their ends and to deal with competition. Yes, they'll build alliances amongst themselves. And indeed, the Albanians have made certain alliances, criminal alliances, with some of the Turkish gangs and some of the Kurdish gangs. But when it comes to it, if there is rivalry, then you can expect weaponry to be used. These are people that
want to begin tonight with the southern border, where no matter what party you're in, there's agreement that something must be done to stop the unprecedented number of migrants coming across the border. But once again, while there is agreement on that, for decades, both Republicans and Democrats have been unable to pass comprehensive immigration reform. And as it stands now, President Biden has proposed $14 billion in new funding to hire new border agents, asylum officers, and immigration judges, as well as new technology to combat the flow of fentanyl. A record-breaking number of migrants are crossing into the United States, an average of about 250,000 per month since August. And in December, the numbers hit an all-time high with more than 300,000.
Good evening. House Speaker Johnson and the Republican delegation got a briefing and a first-hand look at the operations during this southern border crisis.
America is at a breaking point with record levels of illegal immigration.
A big bunch would be probably 25 persons crossing at one time. That would be something big for us to see.
Everybody would be talking about it.
Yeah, everybody would be talking about it. Now you're looking at 600, 800, 1,200, 3,200.
How much has your job changed?
Drastically. It's changed drastically.
Most migrants enter the U.S. illegally, but claim asylum, which means they can't be immediately deported. As President Biden arrived last night at the White House, he blamed Congress for inadequate funding.
Give me the money I need to protect the border.
The banner says Exodus from poverty. This column of humanity heading north from the countries of Central and South America and well beyond too. North to the United States because they think the opportunity, the hope is there.
We are looking to improve ourselves, to have a better quality of life, because in our country, the situation is getting worse and worse, and we are only looking for an opportunity. What we are looking for is to work. We are not criminals. We are not bad people.
There is nothing new about all this. The number of people crossing illegally into America this past year has been staggering. 10,000 a day last week, and nearly 250,000 encountered by the US border officials in November. It has been a record-breaking year, and objectively, it seems clear that the US government has lost any sense of control. It's why the US Secretary of State Antony Blinken landed in Mexico late this holiday week. President Biden sent him to find a deal to fix the problem, because he knows that the border issue may well cost him the White House. And so while the politicians spoke of solutions along the border fence, the people continue to gather. This is a part of the US southern border where former President Trump's wall has been built. But as Sky News has seen this past year, the controversial fence doesn't stretch the length of the border, not nearly. And so, of course, those who are pushed from poverty and pulled to hope will continue to come and pass. Remember, Donald Trump is the Republican Party's frontrunner for president this coming year, and so images like these are a gift for him. This is the tarmac in the northeastern US city of Philadelphia, and it is a neat hint of America's complex migrant puzzle. The plane is full of those seeking a new life, chartered to shift them away from Texas to become another state's problem. And in New York, further north, a familiar sight. Buses arriving from Texas, as they have been almost daily all year. A 36-hour drive. 14 of these arrived in one night this week. 7,200 people into the city in just 2 weeks. All of it a record. It is, of course, an age-old challenge about fears and hopes, pushing and pulling. But here, now, it is impacting the direction of a US election which could reshape the world. Mark Stone, Sky News in Washington.